was going to ask if you would enlarge on what you mean when you talk about reality.
What is reality? God, we don't get basic questions in this setup, don't we? What is reality? Well, shall we leave it at that point? What is reality, John?
Seems to vary, seems to be different states of reality. Seems to be an outer reality and an inner reality. And they seem to vary for...
Are they different?
I think they're connected, but I think they're different.
Are you saying there are two realities?
Yes.
What are those two realities? Or are you saying there are two different sorts of intelligence? Fundamentally, I mean. I mean, obviously there are many different sorts of intelligence.
I think that's a better way of putting it.
Should there be two different sorts of intelligence? Should there be this dichotomy?
It seems to be necessary to cope with the outside world.
Necessary for whom to cope? Or maybe it shouldn't be necessary, do you think?
I'm not sure, but it's...
Here we are going on, starting to allege that there are two different sorts of intelligence, which we are again alleging are two different sorts of reality, without even saying what we think they are. Yes, sir, what are they?
I don't really know, and I passed in the first question, but I'm sure...
No, can we stick to...
Can I just say something that's relating to you? I don't really think you can say that there are only two sorts of realities. There must be infinite realities.
Really?
And there must be.
Why?
Because if everything is vibration anyway, and if consciousness is a vibration, then what is real for you is the actual rate or frequency that you're vibrating at. Therefore, there must be a whole infinite spectrum of realities, mustn't there?
But is it possible that this vast spectrum can be resolved into a fundamental two? which again coincides with positive negative, doesn't it?
I would think not, personally. How could you fit all that into two? You might be able to say that there was one box that would handle everyday reality, but once you got into the other box, you still have the entire spectrum.
No. The fundamental two are surely the reality of thought, which is everything born within time. Everything. Which looks after everything you've been talking about. And the reality of non-thought. Is that right?
Yes.
So the reality of thought is the perception of thought. And the reality of non-thought is the perception of non-thought. And the perception of thought is the more external. The perception of non-thought is the more interiorized. And the first functional necessity is for thought to become efficient, isn't it? Which will not yield wisdom, will only create efficiency, and through efficiency, conflict and confusion, which is profoundly inefficient. And there is the reality of non-thought. And the reality of non-thought, by definition, is indescribable. Thought we can explore. Time we can explore. It's concerned with the endless succession and complexity of facts, which are without number. Within that are all the realities you want to think about. But they're all contained within the spectrum of thought, which is a lesser reality than non-thought. And within non-thought there lies that liberating penetration called wisdom. Wisdom is essentially the silent seeing. When wisdom is expressed, wisdom becomes a manifestation of thought, subject to the limitations and all the process of imposed difficulty that our conditioned intelligences bring to anything, including wisdom. So the surest way to cause wisdom to become error is to think about it.
So how do you use it? How do you use the wisdom? You've got to.
Well, let's look a little. We all understand something about thought, don't we? We all understand that we are made up of a vast bundle of thought. Unconscious thoughts, repressed thoughts, thought in conflict, thought emotion, raging and ranting, below the surface within. And thought as we understand it without. And we don't understand it very much because thought does not want to be understood. It greatly resists being understood. It does not like being looked at. It has a sort of quicksilver factor in it. It will dodge all ways to prevent the light of truly intelligent examination. And it will throw up illusion and delusion, escapist non-reality ad infinitum. I don't think I understand the difference between schizophrenia and hypocrisy. It's a very, very slight step from one to the other. But thought will not look at itself. The thinker, when the thinker becomes the observer, the thinker becomes most ingeniously deceitful. And the mind is amazingly cunning. There is another way, and only another way, by which thought is understood. And that is for the intelligence that is non-thought to examine the whole process that intelligence which is non-thought. What is it? It's impossible to say, it seems to me, because it's indescribable. You cannot make it happen. You cannot cause it to exist by some sort of technique. You might be able to spuriously simulate it by various means, chemical, or allegedly yogic. But for the true thing to be born, to come into existence, the reality of non-thought, that is a revelation. The revelation is always a benediction. The benediction, if you like, is an act of grace from the unknown, that which is without a name. And the reality of non-thought is that which enables the seer to see as the seer sees. This is not the realm of the mere philosopher, though possibly it is the realm of the true philosopher, the Jnani. The mere academic will never know beyond the confusions of thought, beyond the limitations of the petty ego. But the seer is one who sees, doesn't think, sees. And whatever the true seer needs to know, he knows. The need presupposes the knowledge. Indeed, it's deeper than that. The fact of the need being cognized in consciousness means that the knowledge is being born into consciousness. So what is the reality of non-thought? We've already said we can't say what it is. It is space. Our lives are hopelessly, disturbingly compressed. There is no space. We need inner space. Inner space is space between thoughts. That inner space is a true awareness of the liberating dynamic of space. Space which sees directly the light within the patterns of thought, observable through the spaces of thought. The seer is a knower of space. Space is not limited to the laws of thought. Space knows what it needs to know. It is the fact of spontaneous seeing. And the fact of spontaneous seeing is a cognition springing spontaneously through all centres, but not limited to any centre. This awareness of space is a silence, a very living silence. This living silence has its own transcendent intelligence that, as we have said, manifests as seeing. It is also wholly benign. And the silence is heard as an endless whisper. A sigh, unborn of thought. This silence, this space, is all pervasive. And when the space is perceived, thought is seen as the occasional bubble within the space. So all your infinity of realities are just bubbles. Within the all-pervading, all-sustaining, all-knowing radiance of silent space. And I suspect this has something to do with meditation. There are various jargon words. Suchness, for example. The perceiving of the inner nature of things. buddhi, the faculty of higher understanding, supra-rational. We hardly need bother with these concepts, it seems to me. Our ego nature needs to find itself afloat within space. Borne along by the power of all wisdom, sustained within the benign flow of that which is. I don't know whether that is consistent with what we read in the books. But it seems to me that that's about as much as can be said of what is reality. The reality of thought is, of course, the province of the experts, who are still, I believe, investigating. Long may their professional zeal continue. But the reality of the seer creates a totally different relationship with thought, and therefore with ego. Therefore, with all the inventions and the values, the conventions, the conflicts and the complexities of thought. And external reality is so indivisible from thought that it's a very short step to considering that external reality and thought are one. That which is not thought that which is the liberating space, that which is the benign silence, encompassing and enclosing and suffusing, interpenetrating, uplifting all things, revealing all needed things, illumining all known things. That is the reality on which all other realities are dependent. What do you think?